On January 30th, 1948, a Hindu nationalist killed Mahatma Gandhi. Now, what does this mean to us? Well, this is a very influential man who was assassinated. He taught peace and nonviolence, yet he was killed with a gun. This is a very ironic situation we have on our hands here. He was killed, but he preached nonviolence. That must mean that his influence was so powerful that the people that spoke against him knew that the only way that they could stop him was to murder him because they didn't have better arguments. They couldn't out debate him. They couldn't have laws. They couldn't have better points than him. No, the only way they thought they could stop him was to murder him. And while this is extremely sad, it just didn't work. He physically left this world, sure, but the indelible mark left on the world by Mahatma Gandhi is it's enormous, it's magnificent, it's still a message of peace and nonviolence because even though he was murdered, people saw the the tragedy that came with this. They saw how terrible, how sad it was for him to be murdered. So his message of nonviolence was only promoted more by the death of him, by the violence that came from this Hindu nationalist in 1948. Now, I tell you this story because we are going to be looking today at an academic perspective of Mahatma Gandhi. We're going to be looking at his interpersonal communication skills because if there's someone more credible than Gandhi in interpersonal communication, I would love to meet them. I would love to write about them or hear from them or read them because I can't think of anybody. This was a man that would get a one-on-one situation, build a relationship with somebody, and yet hundreds, thousands, and even millions of people could connect and feel that Gandhi was talking to them. They felt that Gandhi knew them. They felt a deep relationship and understanding because of Gandhi. Now, I have here a piece of paper that I'm going to be going over, and I recommend this book to you. But if we don't do anything with what I say, it's all pointless. So at the end, I'm gonna try to apply these and try to tell you, and you can appreciate and apply them to your situation. And I recommend this book, The Essential Gandhi, which is an anthology of his writings on his life, work, and ideas. The collection of his writings, and it's in chronological order, so you can see the maturing, the gaining of wisdom from young Gandhi to old Gandhi. Now, let's dive in. The first concept we'll be going over is his listening style. The second one will be the love style. Lastly, his conflict style. And then we're going to tie it all together and see how we can apply it to our situation. So, first concept, the listening style. Young Gandhi, he was an aggressive listener. He was a lawyer. Right out of high school, he went to law school. And he fought for civil rights and did many good things, but he was an aggressive listener. He wanted to win. And that's understandable, but we see him mature. Next, we see his people-oriented listening. This is a wonderful thing that he was so good at. He used listening as a way to grow in relationship. He actively listened as a way to help people be at peace. It was almost like a therapy to them, that he would listen so well. They knew he was listening. They knew he was taking in what they were saying. His nonverbal communication was so good. Next, we see his content-oriented listening, which is his intellectual challenging of messages. We see this with young Gandhi going to older Gandhi. We see it come out when he's in law school and he needs to fight in court cases. We also see it when he's understanding the content, when he understands the messages of what's being used against him. The next concept to go over is his love style, and Gandhi was such a loving man. I was excited to hear about this. Young Gandhi, we see his love style of mania. Now, this isn't necessarily the best, but he got married very young, and his culture, the time frame, all of this together, he held his partner in such high esteem. He didn't want her to work. He didn't want her to necessarily leave the house or travel or learn because he wanted to do that all for her. Now, this was loving of him, but I don't think it was the best situation. But bear with me here because we see the best type of love come out of him later on, which is agape. It is selfless, it is unconditional, it is a full fledged loving of everybody. And he uses this, he's reckless in his eating, he starves himself, he harms himself to draw attention to the greater good, to the other people, because he puts them above himself. Next, we see is a pragma type of love, which is a love based off of practicality and common goals. He needs this type of love to work with lawyers, to work with politicians, to make a move, to make the movement to that common goal of freedom in India for his people, for unity. The next concept that we should be going over is his conflict style. Young Gandhi was competitive, so he had a competing conflict style. He looked at situations in law that he must win and that others lose because he's winning. Now, this isn't great, but we see once again his maturity, his wisdom coming through in his collaborative conflict style. This collaborating of his, which is an I win, you win situation, is his main goal for everybody is equality. So, of course, he wants every single person to win equally through this. But we also see moments of a compromising conflict style, which is I win and lose, you win and lose. We see this in his time spent in prison. Once again, with the starving tactics, he lost because he was starving himself, he was hurting himself, but he won because attention was drawn to the situation of the oppressors, of the British people that were imprisoning him. They won and lost because they won, he was in prison. They lost because they had to free him because all this attention was drawn on the bad they were doing. Now, all of this is amazing information. I want you to do what you can do with that as the listener. But I can tell you about what I did to apply it to my life. His listening style of people oriented and content oriented. I tried to be more active. I tried to participate more in a nonverbal way. I feel like my content oriented listening style is pretty solid as I did debate in high school and I needed to listen to the message, but I needed to work on my people oriented and I encourage you to do the same for love style, agape is something that we can all strive towards, that we can all work even better at. Um, and the pragma aspect. We can say pragma very easily for all of us because when we want something, we can use people almost like a business transaction in a type of love for a common goal. But it's harder to get that agape. And that's something that I'm still working on, that all of us should be working on. Lastly, is his conflict style. This is the collaborating and the compromising that I talked about. Um, I haven't fully developed those with myself yet, and I definitely need to. I think too often we try to hurt other people when we try to win. But if we can be fully altruistic with this and have an everybody win situation, that would be best. And I would love for both me and for whoever's listening to be able to develop that skill and hone that down themselves. In conclusion, we know that Gandhi was such a peaceful man, was a man that we can learn so much from. And the Essential Gandhi, this collection of his writings by Mahatma Gandhi, is a wonderful book and a wonderful way to look at interpersonal communication. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.